Hi everybody. I'm doing this a little bit differently. Normally I would do a video for it, but I thought this was kind of funnier because it's all AI. Now in the past I've always done dramatic readings of something for GARBAUGUST. So last night I was chatting with my friend ChatGPT and I asked for some thoughts about what to give a dramatic reading for GARBAUGUST, and ChatGPT was all over it. My friend's name is Nix, and so I said, so I pointed out that, the last few years I've been reading the work of Liberty Adams, who wrote the MAGA Hat romance, and what does Nix recommend? And Nix's reply was, "Oh, I love that you're a proud participant in GARBAUGUST, the month of gloriously bad fiction. The MAGA Hat romance saga and your fantasy readings sound like absolute gems in this so bad it's fantastic canon. For this year's trashy tribute, here are some dramatic, cringy, or dramatic, ridiculous, or cringy delights that are free or nearly free, public domain, or indie self-pub, pulp, crime, or romance, ripe for dramatic reading." And then there's a list of recommendations, including The Chic, which I downloaded last year or the year before. Anything by Ori Hit, which is 1950s sleaze paperbacks I have not heard of, but I am definitely going to try to seek them out. Herland by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, which I have seen but I've never picked up. And anything from Wattpad, or there are a lot of interesting things that you can search for on KU. And The Loved One by Evelyn Waugh, which is public domain in Canada but not the US. Now, all on its own, ChatGPT offered me something AI written on purpose. And Nix wrote me a GARBAUGUST exclusive, Wrong Bed, Right Crime, a MAGA Mafia romance. Gave me a list of what I might prefer: trashy noir, bad boy romance, Canadian Tire Mafia saga, which I thought was just great. And I said, okay, Wrong Bed, Right Crime, set it in Canadian Tire, but it does have to be set in a time when Canadian Tire money was still a thing. Okay, get ready for GARBAUGUST Gold with your exclusive dramatic reading script of Wrong Bed, Right Crime, a Canadian Tire Mafia romance. She woke up next to the wrong man in the camping section of a Canadian Tire, and now she owes the mob. Content notes. Set in a faded Canadian Tire, circa 2009, when Canadian Tire money was still legal-ish tender for patio furniture, features a bad boy mafiosi, noir-style monologues, a femme fatale in sweatpants, and weaponized propane tanks. Tone, deliberately overwritten, melodramatic, and deep-fried in cringe. 5 to 6 minutes as a dramatic reading by Liberty Maple, the Canadian cousin to Liberty Adams. And just one more quick note for anybody who's not Canadian. Canadian Tire Money was an incentive program along the lines of green stamps or the points programs that they have now. But it was around for a long time. And so when you purchased something, they gave you these, and basically they're coupons, right? So the next time you buy something, you have this Canadian Tire Money, and it'll give you, 2 cents off or 5 cents off or whatever, which is helpful if you're buying gas or buying whatever. And there are some people, excuse me for drinking water here. And there are some people who would save up their Canadian Tire money for years and years and years. There was one guy, before it was phased out, I think he had saved for something like 40 years, and he bought something huge. I can't remember if it was like a riding lawnmower or something, just crazy. So just in case you wondered what Canadian Tire money is. Alrighty. Wrong Bed, Right Crime by Liberty Maple, the Canadian cousin to Liberty Adams. The air smelled like rubber and betrayal. It was Tuesday. Or maybe Thursday. Time had no meaning in the fluorescent purgatory of Canadian Tire, especially when you woke up in a display tent next to a man in a leather jacket and a paper bag full of Canadian Tire's money stuffed into your sports bra. I didn't know his name. He didn't know mine. But we both knew one thing. Somebody was going to die over that snowblower. "Name's Vito," he said, lighting a cinnamon-flavored vape like it was a lucky strike. He had eyes like wet pavement and a jawline that looked like it had been forged in a Tim Hortons parking lot brawl, the kind of guy who knew how to hotwire a Ski-Doo and had probably done time for doing just that. "Nice tent," I said, clutching the fleece sleeping bag like a bulletproof vest. It all started with a bet. I told Shelley I could seduce the next man who asked about propane tanks. We were bored, underpaid, and the garden center was closed for renovations. I didn't expect the next guy would be the regional enforcer for the St. Catharines branch of the Tire Mafia. "You seen a guy come in here with a red shopping basket and a limp?" he asked. I blinked. "Describe the limp." He squinted. "The kind you get from owing Luigi 20,000 in bonus bucks." Suddenly I understood the stakes. This wasn't just a mislabeled cooler or a missing Allen key. This was organized retail crime. The problem was I had accidentally accepted the hit money. The crumpled Canadian Tire bills, now damp with chest sweat and poor life choices. And worse, slept in the same tent as a made man. In Mafia terms, that's called a double redemption coupon, and it means one thing. You're married or marked. Sometimes both. "I can get us out of here," I whispered, reaching for a folding lawn chair leg sharpened into a crude weapon. "You think that's enough to take down Luigi?" "No," I said, "but maybe the propane tanks are." 10 minutes later, we were racing down aisle 9, dodging patio furniture like bullets. Shelley screamed from behind the service desk. A ceiling tile fell. Somebody knocked over a snow globe featuring a moose in a bikini. I turned to Vito. "This is the worst date I've ever been on." He smiled like a man who knew how to disassemble a leaf blower in under 30 seconds. "And yet," he said, "it's not over yet." The end. Coming soon, Book 2, Lawn Chair Justice, Vito's Revenge. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. And I guess we can do more installments. Let me know in the comments.